Hello everyone. Today I'm going to discuss about a poem titled Keeping Quiet. Pablo Neruda is the poet of this beautiful and meaningful poem. So before I recite the poem, let me read out a bit about the poet. Pablo Neruda is not the real name of the poet. It is just his pen name. His real name is Neftali Ricardo Reyes Basualto. He was born in the town of Parel in Chile in the year 1904. Neruda's poems are full of easily understood images which make them no less beautiful. He won the Nobel Prize for Literature in the year 1971. Sadly, just 2 years later in 1973, he died. In this beautiful poem, Keeping Quiet, Neruda talks about the necessity of quiet introspection and creating a feeling of mutual understanding among fellow human beings. And now, I will recite the poem, Keeping Quiet. It goes like this. Now we will count to 12 and we will all keep still. For once on the face of the earth, let's not speak in any language. Let's stop for 1 second and not move our arms so much. It would be an exotic moment without rush, without engines. We'd all be together in a sudden strangeness. Fishermen in the cold sea would not harm whales, and the man gathering salt would look at his hurt hands. Those who prepare green wars, wars with gas, wars with fire, victory with no survivors, would put on clean clothes and walk with their brothers in the shade doing nothing. What I want should not be confused with total inactivity. Life is what it is about. I want no truck with death. If we were not so single-minded about keeping our lives moving and for once could do nothing, perhaps a huge silence might interrupt this sadness of never understanding ourselves and of threatening ourselves with death. Perhaps the earth can teach us, as when everything seems dead and later proves to be alive. Now, I will count up to 12 and you keep quiet and I will go. That's how the poem ends. Now, let us discuss the poem stanza-wise. In the first stanza, the poet invites everyone to count to 12 and remain silent. This pause is to encourage a break from all activities and languages, allowing for reflection and understanding beyond the everyday rush. In the second stanza, the poet describes this silence as an exotic and rare moment, where people experience a sheer stillness, free from noise and haste. This interesting and unusual moment would create a sense of unity and calm, bringing everyone together. In the third stanza, he offers example of fishermen and laborers who, during this pause, would stop harmful activities like killing animals and fishes and something else, and become more aware of the effects of their actions, symbolizing a shift towards compassion and self-awareness. In the fourth stanza, the poet imagines a world where even those who wage silly and devastating war pause, cleanse themselves mentally, and walk peacefully with others. This stillness would allow them to rediscover their humanity and live harmoniously. In the fifth stanza, Neruda clarifies that this silence is not about death or inaction, but about reflecting on life. He advocates for a thoughtful break, urging people to understand themselves better while continuing to live. In the sixth stanza, he explains that by stepping away from our constant pursuit of progress. A moment of quiet could interrupt the sadness caused by our total lack of self-understanding. Such self-introspection can potentially prevent destruction and conflict in our society and around the world. In the seventh stanza, the poet says that the earth, like winter, appears lifeless but revives later, teaching us that silence and stillness can lead to renewal and growth. The poet suggests we can learn from nature's cycles of life and death. In the final stanza, the poet counts to 12, asking for a brief moment of quiet, inviting all of us to reflect and introspect, then leaves, encouraging us to find transformation in this silence. To conclude, through this poem, Pablo Neruda emphasizes the importance of introspection, peace, and unity. He urges people to pause from their constant activities and the rat race they are in and reflect on their actions, to create a moment of silence that allows for deeper understanding, empathy, and connection with nature and other fellow human earthlings. That's all about the poem and the summary. I hope you have understood the poem. In case there is any confusion or any questions, you can always put a question on the comment box below. Thank you.